Welcome back to another episode of our race or trip of our race around the world here at Pitstop Pals, part of the Reality Realm Network. My name is Kevin Oliver,
And my name is Bruce Heller.
and we are here to talk about episode 3 of the Amazing Race 37.
Yeah,
What'd you think, Bruce?
this was very a fun episode. One of the first times I've ever been shown the two different challenge options and thought, "Oh, I'll choose that one." And then proceeded to watch everyone either choose the other one or leave the one I chose. So, that was
Why did you think that why did you think that the fling it would be good?
it looks more fun and it's easy to mess up folding. Then you have three different creases on the paper because you fold it wrong.
But did you realize at the time that you had to do the other one without messing up?
I don't think so, and I didn't realize how hard the spikes were. The spikes is what was throwing people off. The others were fine.
Yeah.
So that was just
Um,
an instinct reaction when he shared both of them as, oh, do the ninja one. That one looks more fun and folding is hard. But
Unfortunately, fun doesn't always equal uh, the best decision.
I don't think anyone can. Well, also folding is hard. You can mess that up really easily.
Oh, no doubt.
I don't think anyone completed the ninja one though.
No, nobody.
That's insane.
Yeah, definitely. This episode was entitled Chaotic Crazy, and that's what we are used to. And neither one of us can figure out who said that. I missed it in the actual episode. I've been trying to get AI to tell me who it was, and they gave me three different answers, and none of those answers were people who were on this season of The Amazing Race.
What?
Yes. I type in the question, who said the quote, chaotic crazy, that's what we are used to, in Amazing Race Season 37, Episode 3. The first one it told me was Lulu and Lala, who are from Season 33. I said, those aren't even contestants on the season. So it told me Emily and Molly, who I believe were on season. I don't even know honestly now. They one of them follows us on Instagram, sometime in the 30s, and then they gave me Ari and Stella, and I have no idea who that even is.
That's the right answer.
Ari and Stella.
Yes. I don't know who they are, but that's the right answer.
Oh, from season 12. And Emily and Molly, I want to say 35, 34. From season 34, Emily and Molly. None of the options they gave me were even from this season. That was ChatGPT, Gemini. What?
I, I tried using GPT and it said the phrase chaotic crazy, and that's what we're used to, is the title of season 37, episode 3, which aired on March 19th, 2025. However, based on available information, it is unclear which contestant or narrator specifically said this during the episode. The title likely reflects the overall atmosphere or challenges faced by teams during that leg of the race, and it searched the web before telling me this.
Right.
All of its available sources, and it couldn't come up with it.
Well, GPT, I also tried Gemini and Meta AI and got no answers.
Try Apple Intelligence. I saw commercials for that made it look smart.
But the thing is, Meta AI tells me that it doesn't have access to real time information or specific quotes from TV shows.
Oh,
So,
that's kind of weird.
yeah. Anyway, all that
Anyway,
being said, Did you catch or write down any quotes from this week's episode?
I do this week.
Go for it.
Okay, my first one is Carson and Jack at the ninja thing, which just looks like a blast if I wasn't having to be quick and be part of a race, by the way. I put, we're nerds, we watch anime, and then there was a pause and he goes, be accurate like the Ranger. And I don't know what Ranger he meant, but be accurate like the Ranger was fun. I have Jonathan asking where Scott and Lori are, and Anna saying right here when they were like a foot away from them.
Hmm.
And then
That makes me think about
for for some reason in the middle of my quote list, I have that the bullet train from Osaka to Kyoto went 200 miles an hour. I don't know why that's in the middle of my quote list, but oh well.
Hey, that last quote you said about the asking where Scott and Lori were, that
Yeah,
reminds me. That reminds me of the traders when I can't remember who was asked thought Ivar was dead and he was
yeah,
sitting like right next to him.
that was Gabby because
Yeah,
I put he. This was the two brothers, I believe. Yeah, because one of them said he doesn't even fold his own clothes at home. And the other brother immediately says, my mom still folds his laundry.
I
So
have that one.
the sibling rivalry there is great. It's all crumpled and looks like shh, except they finished the word and I didn't. I just put SH star star on mine.
Yeah.
And then in the hospital, someone would be dead by now. And I forgot the context to that, which makes it funnier to me.
Well, it would have been Courtney and Jasmine, and it was something that was taking them a long time, but I can't think of what it was either at the moment.
Well, that was everything in the episode.
That's fair.
Not
Maybe
a
it was
great
the whole episode.
episode for them.
No. Anyway, Mike, for me, I have quotes from Josiah. We can't have sake. I wish. I wish.
Not with that attitude.
Courtney says the express pass is like the golden ticket on Willy Wonka.
Fair. Good comparison.
Um, let's see. Oh, here's a quote that I didn't like. It's
Oh.
not a funny one, but it's one that um it was from Jonathan, and it kind of explains why I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be smiley when I struggle or when you struggle with something I find so simple.
Yeah, that's not great.
It's that attitude that's why I don't like him.
That's fair.
That's the attitude I was trying to explain to you on the first week.
Yeah.
Didn't have a great example of, and you couldn't remember what I was talking about.
We've Yeah, that's not great. I forgot about that. I feel like we've seen a lot worse in that department though.
We have, but I'm looking at right now,
Yeah.
and I just think that he is not very respectful of his wife. But
Yeah.
um, when in Kyoto, make giant origami cranes.
Fair enough.
That was from Han. Yeah, and then I have Mike doesn't even fold his own clothes at home. He wants to talk smack, but my mom still washes his clothes. Um, and that was all the quotes I had. I had another one, but I can't read my own writing. So something about the bullet train.
It went really fast.
Anyway, we start this leg of the race by opening up route info that tells us that we're going to travel by bullet train from Osaka to Kyoto, Japan. We're staying in Japan this week. And caution, express pass ahead.
Haven't we been in Japan all 3 weeks now? No, we were in
Um,
Hong Kong the first week.
yeah, no, I didn't think so.
We were in that same part of the world though, close enough.
Yeah, we were in the same part of the world. How do you feel about the express pass as a mechanic?
It's fine if you're. I mean, usually the people that go for it are the ones in front because if you're in the back, you assume it's taken. So like it, you don't. The people that need it don't have a chance to get to it, but it's it's a good mechanic. I don't mind it. It's not like the save where you're already last, but oh, now you're not dead.
Mm-hmm.
It actually can keep you from being dead in the first place. So,
Right. It's not too overpowered.
no.
Um. Okay, so yeah, we're going to the bullet or riding the bullet train to Kyoto, and what I noticed here is that our teams are a little more split up on their train. It's not like they're waiting forever on a train and everybody catches up. There's just two or three teams usually on each train. Hey, Bruce Heller, you're on TikTok. Wow.
Uh, I am about to turn notifications off on that app with how randomly it sends them to me.
I just got an email that said Bruce Heller in your contacts is on TikTok.
Uh, yeah, only because you told me to, and I got tired of saying no.
But also because we have Reality Realm now on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm not on there that often, to be honest.
That's what you say, and then you send me stuff about every day.
Not, I haven't sent you stuff for a couple days on there. I send it to you on Instagram.
You send it to me on Instagram way more, but
Because a lot of the pages I follow are on TikTok and Instagram, and they upload on both at the same time. So I just
I
don't.
I generally don't see the things that are for on Instagram until at least a day or two later than their TikTok posts.
There's been a few pages I follow that like I'll see something on Instagram, then see it on TikTok like that day or the next day, whenever I get on TikTok. So oh well, we'll see how long I have TikTok. I probably won't get rid of it. I just don't get on it very often.
I thought you get on it like twice a day.
I was getting on it twice a day. I haven't been on it for a day or two though.
Uh, okay. Anyway, so the first bullet train, John and Anna and Scott and Lori were the only two teams that got on the first bullet train, and so they keep their lead a little bit. Nobody was able to catch up to them there. And then the second train had Alyssa and Josiah and Carson and Jack. So this is what I'm talking about. It was a little more spread out. It wasn't 3, 10, and 3 or something like some of
Yeah.
those flights have been so far. Um,
3, 10, and 3 would be 16 teams, by the way.
I'm sorry, 3, 7, and 3. I was
That's
adding,
better.
yeah, because that was one of them. A couple like last week or the week
Yeah.
before. Um,
I'm the fact checker only when you get things wrong. I don't point out when you get things right.
yeah, I noticed.
I should though.
Yeah, but
Noted.
you won't, and you already lost it in your notes. Um,
Oh, we'll get to
so
my notes later. I have a funny anecdote from my notes that I texted you during the episode.
okay, so then we see Pops and Jeff at the bullet train place, and Pops is able to talk his way on to this train.
Hey, that is correct. Good job.
Thanks. And so they are the only team on the third train to leave.
There we go. Good for them.
After that, we have the fourth train with Courtney and Jasmine and Melinda and Erica. You know, sometimes I just am impressed with myself that I can actually read my own writing because I write so fast
Why
trying
do
to
you
keep
think
up.
I type it? Because I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, but my thing is, I podcast from my phone, so
Yeah.
it doesn't work. And then the fifth train, which had the remaining people: Nick and Mike, Brett and Mark, and Bernie and Kerrigan. Once they arrived in Kyoto, there was route info that they needed to go to Omakuji and buy a piece of fortune telling paper that they dipped into this stream, and once wet, the paper would show them where they needed to go next.
That was really cool.
Yeah, except unless you're Courtney and Jasmine and your paper dries out while you're trying to show your taxi driver where you need to, or bus driver, while you're showing the bus driver to ask him where you need to go.
I think everything that could have went wrong for them this episode.
Definitely. Also, I noticed there was a deer in the middle of Osaka, Japan,
Oh,
or
I
in
missed that.
Kyoto.
I
Huh?
got feed in that fight. I missed the deer.
It was in Kyoto, not Osaka, but yeah. There was just a baby deer walking through the middle of Kyoto. Oh wait, no, it was Osaka because they went back to Osaka to the bullet train where we now have the sixth train with the last place team, Han and Holden, finally getting on a train because it took them forever to get to the bullet train because they couldn't get a taxi.
Yeah, which was wild.
Yeah, so once they dipped their fortune paper in and got where they needed to go, there was another clue box there that sent them on a roadblock.
By the way, I looked it up. Fortune paper does not taste as good as fortune cookies do.
I can imagine. Yeah. Bruce,
I
do you
did
want to
not
tell us?
actually look that up. I'm just guessing.
Bruce, do you want to tell us about the roadblock? Who's up for some kicks?
Yeah, so you have to complete 5 passes in Samurai Soccer, which is basically just kind of the soccer version of Don't Let the Balloon Touch the Floor. You see a lot of like athletes in other sports, like hockey players, a lot doing this in a tunnel before a game, just kind of juggling a soccer ball to each other. And
Hockey players juggle a soccer ball
they'll do this. They'll do like this game in the tunnel before a game. This like
with a soccer ball.
yes, I'll try and find a video and send it to you. Of
But
just
why
like
would they have
kicking
a
it
soccer
to.
ball?
I don't know.
I literally thought you meant they would like play that game with the hockey puck on their
No,
sticks because I've seen people do that.
I've seen well that too, but I've seen videos of them like in shorts and t-shirt in the tunnel, like kicking a soccer ball to each other in the air.
That's weird.
But you have to hit it 5 times with your foot without it touching the floor, and for the express pass, both people have to do it.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
It looks easy.
But the express like that being the express pass challenge. How do you feel about that?
I think it's too easy to
I
make
don't like
the
it.
express pass challenge.
I don't like it. Like you said, it's too easy, but also it's like
Also, the express pass is usually a separate challenge, not just an
exactly,
extension of the existing one.
exactly. I'm remembering Express Pass back in season 35 where they had to climb that really tall staircase,
Yeah.
and I thought Steve was going to have a heart attack on the way up just for them to get to the top, and there not be an Express Pass because they walked right by the sign that said that it was taken.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And then they got to slide down that slide back to the beginning, but
Worth it. That slide looked really fun.
that almost sent them home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't like the idea that the express pass was literally just the second person doing the roadblock.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that. But yeah, so the roadblock was done by the following members of each team: John, Carson, Scott, Josiah, Pops, Erica, Nick, Brett, Kerrigan, Courtney, and Holden. Anna was the first one to try for the express pass, and that is when John made his quote that I was not a big fan of.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. It made me feel gross.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I literally wrote, "This is why I don't like John." He's still there's. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They're still a really good team, maybe the best team as a whole in the game. But I digress. Jack also tries for the express pass. Um, he did not get it. Spoiler alert: John and Anna were the ones to get the express pass.
There you go. It all
But
worked out.
it all worked out. I still don't have to like how he acted.
Fair enough.
But I really liked Scott and Lori here, because they made the calculated decision to not even attempt the express pass
Yeah.
because they didn't think Lori would be good at it and that it would just be a waste of time. And they valued being the first team to leave the roadblock, not only because it puts them in first place, but also because of the psychological pressure that it's going to put on the other teams that are trying to get the express pass.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good move.
I agree completely. So,
Kind of like how a couple weeks ago you were like really high on Josiah and Alyssa's move of choosing the sing versus dance because it puts them ahead of everybody on the sing side.
yeah.
This is kind of like my uh, strategic move of the week for um, the little strategy that necessarily goes into this race, or minimal, I should say.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Nothing. I was
Oh,
fixing a spelling error on my notes on my computer.
okay.
And I also have my notes pulled up on my phone, but I didn't want to lose my place of where we are, so I pulled my notes up on my computer.
Makes sense. Okay, so Scott and Laura, they left after being the first ones to leave the challenge, and we find out that route info tells us to go to Osaka Koshinyo Temple for your next clue.
Yeah.
And Bruce,
He said this quickly, and they put the spelling up on the screen. And if I had been watching the next day, I would have backed it up. But I was watching live, and normally I can like spell it. If I know I'm not looking at it right, I'll spell it phonetically just so I can pronounce it. I didn't know how to do that. So what I wrote in my notes was go to the temple with the funny name for the next clue.
and Bruce also texted me in the middle of this and goes, pronunciation is going to be fun in this next episode.
Yeah,
For the record, I think I'm doing pretty good.
yeah, I assume you got it right. I clearly don't know. I didn't write it down, but I was right. It is a temple with a funny name.
Yeah, I wrote it down exactly as it was on the screen. So
Yeah,
as long as they got it right, I got it right.
yeah, for sure.
We also find out here that Alyssa was a D1 soccer player at Temple University, and for some reason, she did not complete this challenge. Josiah did instead,
Yeah,
which
what's
I think is,
that?
I think it was just to even out the number of roadblocks they do because you're only allowed to do 6 a season.
Yeah,
But I thought it was a crazy decision for the D1 soccer player to not do the soccer challenge.
yeah,
And then we get to the detour as the first teams get there. Scott and Lori, Jonathan and Anna, Carson and Jack, they're at the front.
I have one more
And
soccer note.
yeah, okay.
Pops, my note simply reads, Pops absolutely airmails a soccer
Oh,
ball.
I have more soccer notes,
Okay.
But the thing is, they've started the detour
Yeah.
while other people are at soccer. So like my notes go back and forth because they're chronological.
Yeah. I scrolled back up, I guess. Because I have Pops absolutely airmails a soccer ball, then I have folded or fling it after that. So I must
Gotcha.
have put all my soccer notes together.
I have a pops note later on, but I'll just go chronologically still.
Yeah.
So the detour here is fold it or fling it. Do you want to explain that, Bruce?
Yeah, you're either folding paper or you get to be a ninja.
Do you want to explain that in a little more detail?
You're folding giant paper or you get to be a very unskilled ninja because the ninja challenge was hard.
Okay, so Bruce doesn't want to be cooperative. I guess I will explain the detour.
What did I say that was incorrect?
It's not that you didn't, but that is not helpful to our audience.
Folding giant paper explains what they did.
Full, yes, but not well.
Well, that's true, I guess.
The idea here is I don't want to be the only one talking, so I let you explain the challenges.
They had to
But if you're
fold
going
a giant origami crane that looked really hard to do.
yes, it was giant origami.
Yeah, which is basically what I said. You just got really nitpicky about it.
But you also didn't say crane.
Oh well. Or
Let's
you
let's
use
fling it.
spikes and throwing stars in a blowgun, and that looked really awesome.
And you
At this
couldn't
point, I would have
mess up.
chose fling it just based off of those descriptions they gave us.
But you couldn't mess up or you had to start over. And we saw Nick and Mike have 32 attempts.
Yeah, they stayed there way too long.
Yes. Anyway, the teams that that did fold it were in turn everybody. Everybody completed fold it, and that is what happened there. But with fling it, there was several teams that tried it and gave up. And those teams were Scott and Lori, Carson and Jack, Jonathan and Anna, Alyssa and Josiah, Nick and Mike, and Bernie and Kerrigan.
Yes.
All of those teams started at Fling It and went to Fold It. The other teams were at Fold It the whole time. And spoiler alert, the team that went home was a Fold It the whole time. So maybe there was a method to the madness of trying to fling it. I don't
Yeah.
know. Anyway,
Honestly, fling it as a whole didn't look hard. The stars and the blowguns, people were getting it, looked like pretty easily. It's those dumb spikes.
well, I was still watching teams uh, throw the star and mess up on their because you had to be perfect.
Yeah, the spikes were by far the thing that was hanging people up, though,
Yeah, for sure.
which I did not expect for whatever reason. I thought the blowgun would be the hard part.
And I think it was probably the easiest.
It probably was. I just thought people wouldn't blow hard enough or they'd blow too hard, or I thought that would be more complex than it was. I want one of those, by the way.
I don't want you to have one of those.
I don't care that you don't want me to have one. I want to have one anyway. I'm gonna go on Amazon and look up blow dart gun this afternoon. See what kind of list they put me on after that.
Yeah, the
Probably
FBI is
shouldn't.
going to listen to you a little bit more carefully from now on.
That's their problem. Listen, the nonsense I say talking to people and the nonsense I say to myself walking around my house. If the FBI wants to waste their time wiretapping me of all the morons in the world, go ahead.
Bold of you to assume they don't already.
If they have, they've probably gotten tired of me by now. You have. And you're still here, but you're
um,
about to spend 4 hours in a car with me. Well, 8 hours
yeah.
total, but
Pray for me, everybody, please.
it went okay last time. We argued with each other a little bit, but not that much.
That's true.
And it was just because I wanted to get out and stretch my legs at McDonald's, and you didn't want me to. That was pretty much the only argument we had. But we used the restroom when we were at McDonald's, so that was a good thing.
I wanted to go through the drive-through. That was the whole point of that.
Yeah, and it's just because we road trip differently. I like to get out and stretch my legs sometimes. I don't do well sitting in the same position for long periods of time. If you notice, like during tribal council chat or during roundtable talk, I'm like shifting around a lot throughout the episode. I just for some reason can't sit in the same position for super long periods of time.
And I don't necessarily enjoy that, but I'd rather get there as soon as possible.
We had
Because
plenty of time. We were fine.
no, it's not because I'm worried about being late. It's just I don't want to be in the car. So the quicker we
Yeah.
get there, the quicker I get out of the car.
Well, I didn't want to be in the car either. That's why I got out of it. We just do it differently. That's all.
Yeah.
Either way is right or wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the soccer challenge. I told you I had a note on Pops here. Dude, okay, so this is the same part where he yeeted the ball like you were talking about. But when he did it, he moved his hands up. He looked like the freaking Karate Kid or something when he did it, too.
Crane kick.
Yeah.
Pops was great this challenge. Kicked the ball way too hard that one time, but it was great.
But I will say, Jeff gets the award for Encourager of the Year.
Yeah.
That dude was so, like, supportive of his dad. Respect.
Yeah.
Oh, I have another quote that I didn't mark down as a quote. And it's Jonathan getting to fling it. And he said, when I saw being a ninja, my logic brain went away and I became a kid again.
Yeah. I want to play with throwing stars.
I don't want you to have throwing stars.
You
That sounds dangerous for me.
can't stop me. I have access to Amazon.
Maybe I'll call Greg and get your internet thrown off.
I have mobile data.
That works like crap.
It works sometimes. It goes out. It goes in and out.
Exactly.
But just call Bezos and tell him not to sell me any ninja materials. That would probably be your best bet.
What'd you call him?
Bezos?
That's not his name.
Jeff Bezos, the guy that runs Amazon.
No, Jeff Bezos.
Oh, whatever. You know who I mean.
I know. That's why I said that's not his name, because I knew exactly who you were talking about.
Well, call him and tell him not to give me ninja materials if you're really that worried.
Because I'm sure he would take my call.
Yeah, so you're stuck and I'm becoming a ninja.
Oh my. Just wait until after April 2nd if you're going to do that.
I just need a katana.
No. Anyway, Scott and Lori, they switched, like I said. And here we see Pops and Jeff and Melinda and Erica on their way to the detour create an alliance, basically. Or like cement this alliance that they have.
Yes.
Because they are the only two teams with an old person left.
Yes.
And so they are working together to make sure old people go as far as they can.
Yahooey.
That's pretty much what they said.
I know, it's really smart.
Yeah. And then Kerrigan and Bernie get to the soccer challenge. And Kerrigan has to do it to start evening out who's doing what detour or roadblock. And we find out that Kerrigan has no coordination at all. And they take forever.
Yeah, they do.
But lucky for them.
But
lucky for them, Courtney also has no coordination.
Yeah.
And takes even longer. Unlucky for them, Han and Holden show up, and Holden was a high school soccer player and gets this on his first try.
Wait, that Han and Holden actually put the soccer player on the soccer challenge? That doesn't make sense.
Crazy, I know.
Okay, I'm confused, but I'll roll with it.
And then Kerrigan finally got it.
Woohoo!
Yes. Also, here we have Scott and Lori finishing the fold it challenge, and we find out where we're going for the pit stop. Do you have that written down?
Hmm. Let me see. Konkai Kanyochi Temple.
Is that it?
That I wrote it out phonetically, so the way I wrote it isn't how it's spelled, but that's what I have written down is Konkai Kanyochi Temple.
Okay. Yeah, that looks about right from the spelling I got here. Um, I missed the name. It went away too fast, and so I wrote insert pit stop name here.
Heh, temple with the funny name.
Yeah, there you go. And Scott and Lori get to the pit stop first,
Yes.
and they are team number one, and they get $5,000.
Look at them go.
Scott and Lori are really impressing me this season because I was not super high on them going in.
Yeah.
But a second place and a first place finish is pretty good.
We also learned during Folded that either Jack or Carson made a lot of paper cranes in high school, so this challenge was right up their alley.
It was, and speaking of them, they got second place.
They did.
Um, and once Scott and Lori and Carson and Jack get there, Phil tells us that next episode is going to have another amazing race first.
The driver's seat.
The driver's seat, where
That's where
the
you sit
first,
to drive the car. They're putting seats in their cars for the first time.
it's crazy. The first team to get to the driver's seat determines the amount of work every other team has to do to get to the next clue.
Yes.
I saw a meme somewhere that said, spoiler for episode 4, Pops and Jeff get to the driver's seat, and it's log splitting, and they set it at 320 logs. Pops and Jeff have a 14-hour lead.
Nice. That's incredible.
Yes. That is not true, by the way. If you were okay,
No, I knew it wasn't, but I
I
couldn't.
I know you weren't. I was talking to the audience.
Oh, well, if I knew it, they probably did. They're smarter than me.
You said it, not me,
You've said it before, though.
but not this time. And we see here, back at the detour, that our friends Josiah and Alyssa, who we both love and who
Yeah.
are doing well, are not doing so well because they refuse to leave Fling It. And they're on attempt number 19.
So many teams stayed at ninja training way longer than they should have.
And Josiah calms Alyssa down and they finally switch. She was very upset. She's a very competitive person, D1 soccer player, like we said.
Yeah.
She does not like to do poorly at anything.
Yeah.
And at about this time, Jonathan and Anna come into the pit stop as team number 3.
Yes, they do.
And then right after that, we go to Bernie and Kerrigan choosing Fling It instead of Fold It. And my note is I don't like that Bernie and Kerrigan are doing Fling It. There was a large part of this end game where I was convinced Bernie and Kerrigan were going home.
Yeah. I don't know that I thought there was a chance they would. I was never like fully convinced they were because Courtney and Jasmine were always behind them. But
once Bernie and Kerrigan chose Fling It, that's when I was convinced.
yeah, I kind of assumed they'd do it once or twice and then switch. And
They
the
did
other team was still at soccer behind them. So I wasn't, yeah.
But Courtney and Jasmine
but I wasn't convinced they were going home ever.
But Courtney and Jasmine got to Fold It before Bernie and Kerrigan switched.
True, I did not see that coming.
Yeah. Nick and Mike are having a rough time as well at Fling It, and so they start meditating.
Yeah.
We find out that they meditate every morning together.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. But then they finally decide to switch after meditating. And back to the pit stop we go, where Melinda and Erica finished this race as team number 4, arriving at basically the same time as Brett and Mark as team 5 and Pops and Jeff as team 6.
Yeah, 4, 5, and 6 all arrived together. I have that in my notes.
Yeah. And then we have Nick and Mike doing smack talk about folding laundry.
Yeah, that was funny.
And then we see a second alliance in the works here as Han and Holden and Nick and Mike are working together on this folding. Neither one of them are doing well. In fact, Han and Holden really got on my nerves in this episode.
Why?
Because of the folding origami and yelling at each other.
Fair enough.
I actually have a note here in a minute. I'll get there in a minute.
They're just going to be bickering and sibling rivalry-ing the whole race, I think.
So I have my thought where I'm afraid Bernie and Kerrigan are going home, and then they switch, and then I put, this is the thought. Holden is being a little bit of a bitch. Because the way he was yelling at his sister was driving me nuts.
Fair enough. That's just going to be them this whole race, I think.
And I'm going to be annoyed.
It's going to be them fussing at each other. That's what it's been so far.
Right, but you get annoyed by that at some point too.
No, it'll grate on me for sure. I'm just saying I'm not expecting it to change.
Well, I'm hoping that maybe we don't have to deal with them that much longer, and then it won't be an issue. But Alyssa and Josiah finishes team number 7. And then we go back to Fold It because there's 4 teams left and they're all at Fold It together. And Nick and Mike found Han and Holden's mistake for them.
Yes.
And because of that, Nick and Mike finish and become team number 8, and Han and Holden become team number 9, leaving Bernie and Kerrigan and Courtney and Jasmine as the final 2 teams left at Fold It, where, thank the Lord, Bernie and Kerrigan finished ahead of Courtney and Jasmine as team number 10. Courtney and Jasmine were eliminated from the Amazing Race on leg number 3. My first draft team out of the running here after Bruce lost 3 in a row.
One of my notes was Kevin told me I wasn't giving Courtney and Jasmine enough credit. And so
you weren't prior to this.
But then they went home. So I still feel like I was right in a way. We were both kind of right, but I'm focusing on me being right.
That's normal. And next time on Amazing Race, we get the driver's seat, and that was pretty much the focus of that next time on. But Courtney and Jasmine, like I said, become my first draft team eliminated after Bruce lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, I don't like that.
So I have 6 left. Bruce has 4 left.
Sad.
Bruce has Pops and Jeff, Jonathan and Anna, Han and Holden, and Carson and Jack.
Other than Han and Holden, I feel really good about my teams left, though. I think I'm about to go on a run.
I have Scott and Lori, Josiah and Alyssa, Brett and Mark, Melinda and Erica, Bernie and Kerrigan, and Nick and Mike.
And on paper, those all sound great, too. But for some reason, like Nick and Mike, Bernie and Kerrigan just haven't lived up to what we thought they were going to be yet.
Correct.
And Brett and Mark started out good, but are still making up from what Ernest did to them.
Yeah. Thanks.
Why are you fussing at me?
Because Ernest was on your team. And I can't blame Ernest because Ernest isn't here.
Well, that's true, but it's still his fault.
It is. But so you're going to take the blame for Ernest.
And that is why the intersection is such a risky twist
It
because of,
is.
because of things like Ernest. Like
Because of
what?
things like Ernest.
Because of like things like what happened with Ernest, where he's just so terrible, and Brett and Mark are a good team that are in the lower middle of the pack for 2 legs in a row now, trying to recover.
Yeah.
Well, they were fifth
Oh,
out of 11. I guess they're just middle of the pack. But
yeah, they got fifth.
last week they almost went home.
Yes. Um, so Bruce,
Yes.
power rankings.
Yeah, I did them ahead of time.
All right, who you got at 10?
At 10, I have the same team that was last place in my last power rankings, and that is Han and Holden.
Okay.
They moved up a few spots this week, but I don't trust it. I don't think that was them being great that they moved up. I think that was the teams behind them struggling is what that was. So,
It was also them getting uh, a roadblock that fit exactly into their skill set.
yeah, and also just the sibling rivalry of them bickering back and forth, fussing at each other is going to cost them at some point. It hasn't yet, but it will.
Totally agree. I also have Han and Holden at 10. I've been low on them the whole time, but they're
Yeah.
still here, so that says something. But like you said, I think it's got to catch up to them sooner or later, and I'm both hoping and expecting sooner rather than later.
Yeah, for sure.
9.
9, I don't like doing this because I really like them. They haven't given me much of a choice though, and that's Bernie and Kerrigan here. I want to put them higher. They haven't given me the ability to.
And here, I do not have Bernie and Kerrigan, but I have my number one overall drafted team, Nick and Mike.
I feel the same way about them. I want to put them higher than I have them, and they won't let me.
Yeah, same. Um, they're really just not performing like I expected them or want them to.
Yeah, they can turn
And
it around though.
yeah, I really hope so. Who you got at 8?
Them.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
That Han and Holden, not Han and Holden, Nick and Mike and Bernie and Kerrigan. I want to put you guys higher, but what I'm seeing on the show, you won't let me. I can't come up with an excuse to put you higher than this.
Completely agree. And that's why my 8 is Bernie and Kerrigan.
Yeah.
Same reasons. I love them. Bernie and Kerrigan are my favorite team this season, but you got to give me something. I can only justify for so long.
Yeah.
7.
7, this is interesting because 4, 5, 6 all arrived at the same time. I have Melinda and Erica here.
This is hilarious.
They're a good team. I just think the other two teams that arrived with them are more consistent. Melinda and Eric kind of struggled in week 1, then were good last week. Then they're like middle. They've been kind of up and down so far, so I trust the other two teams that arrived with them more.
I literally also have Melinda and Erica here. So our
Good.
bottom 4 are the same. Um,
Technically placed first out of all 3 of these teams, but I trust them the least.
and we both have somebody uh, in front of them that finished well after them.
Yeah, we do.
Um, but and they're playing well, and I don't think they're going home anytime soon. But um, there's just too many strong teams left.
Yeah, there is. It's a fantastic cast.
Absolutely. Who you got at 6?
This is Alyssa and Josiah.
Okay.
And I wanted to put them ahead of all 3 of these 4, 5, 6 teams, but I erred on the side of being more reasonable. So they'll be higher up next week. If they had left ninja training sooner than they did, they'd be they'd be ahead of Pops and Jeff and Brett and Mark, even though they finished behind them. But this is just where they land for this week.
I have Pops and Jeff here.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, out of the three that showed up at the same time, I think they are the middle one of the three. Like,
I agree.
and so I put them in sixth here because I did not err on the side of caution. I erred on the side of what's been on my screen not only this week but what we've seen so far in that. That's the reason why I have listened Josiah higher than you do here,
Yeah.
and so Pops and Jeff at six.
I really thought about putting them ahead of all three of these teams, and I feel like that's what you probably did. But I have Pops and Jeff next at whatever number we're at,
Five.
which is fitting because there's 10 teams, five is halfway through, and they've been consistently middle of the pack. So that makes sense.
At five, I have Brett and Mark. Um, I think they're probably better than fifth best, but they still got to work their way back up for me to justify that.
So basically, the what I was saying with Alyssa and Josiah, they're better than where I rank them, but I need to see them move up.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have, let me see, we're at one, we're at four now, right?
Yep.
That's where I have Brett and Mark. They do need to work their way up, but you think last week they were second to last place, so 11th. This week they moved all the way up to fifth. So
They were not second to last place last week.
let me find it.
They passed
Okay,
a
they were
couple
ninth
teams.
out of 12. They still
I was gonna
moved up
say
four spots. Whatever.
they passed a few teams at sumo.
Yeah, they were second to last for a lot of the episode. That's why I thought that. They were ninth, though, which is still bad. And they moved up four spots, which is still a lot. And they'll keep moving up, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. At four, I have Josiah and Alyssa.
Yeah.
I think they're probably better than two of the teams that I have ahead of them. But this leg, I couldn't give them that wiggle room just because of uh,
Just
the way that the leg shaked out.
the decision making to stay at ninja training that long hurt them.
Oh, absolutely. Three?
I have our winners of the leg, Scott and Lori, and I realized they won the leg and I have them at third. But the two teams ahead of them have been more like throughout the season been more consistent. Scott and Lori have come on this week and last week. Didn't get off to a super strong start. Whereas these other two teams have kind of been strong the whole way through.
To be fair, we're only on the third week. So
That
two-thirds
changes
is
nothing of what I said.
what?
That changes nothing of the like what I said though.
I know, but just saying it just sounds weird to say, yeah, I'm punishing these people because for two-thirds of the race they've been great.
I'm not punishing them. I just trust the other two teams more.
No, I get it because I also put Scott and Lori here.
You're just fussing at me then.
Yeah, but also
Okay.
I just I don't want to. I just thought that it sounded funny the way that you said that.
I just the other two teams have been consistently near the front of the pack the whole time. It was one
Hey,
episode, but Scott and Lori weren't great that first week.
I want to remind you of something. Jonathan and Anna were the ninth team to reach the pit stop at the first leg.
But two separate races, so they were actually like third place.
Okay, and Scott and Lori were right behind them.
This is my rankings. You have the same ones as I. You put Scott and Lori in the same place I did.
I do. I'm just your reasoning is what I'm pushing back on.
Okay, well, that's what it is.
Okay.
They did great last week. They went from near the back of the pack to near the front, but the other two teams were already ahead of them and have stayed that way. Well, no.
No, that's not
They
true at
finished
all.
first this week.
They have not stayed that way.
I'm done trying to justify it. I don't have to have a reason. These are my rankings.
No, it's fine because I also, like I said, I also put them
I
there.
know, you're just fussing at me to fuss at me at this point.
I'm heckling you.
And I don't have good defense.
I
So
noticed because Scott and Lori, they are doing well, and one more week, and I'm ready to put them at the top. If they even finish in the top three next week, I'm ready to move them up even further than third.
if they
Um,
finish first again, I'll have them first next week.
Even if they finish second, I'm ready to move them higher than third place. That's what I'm saying.
If they finish second, I'll have them second next week. So if they finish first or second, that's where they'll be in my rankings, basically.
Okay.
Because if it's second, I have Jack and Carson at 2, moving on. If they
Wait,
finish second, they'll jump Jack and Carson.
wait. I got a question because this is going to change things for you. What if the finishing order is Carson and Jack win, Scott and Lori in second, Jonathan and Anna in third?
I really hope that doesn't happen because I don't know what to do in that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that you. I think you would still put Scott and Lori at third.
I'd probably put them at second, and then I don't know what to do. Probably move Jonathan and Anna to third. But
I would be very shocked to see you put Jonathan and Anna below Scott and Lori, unless Scott and Lori win the leg.
if they finish behind them 2 legs in a row, that's hard for me to get around.
By one
I
place,
believe,
even.
I believe you said in this hypothetical, Jack and Carson win, Scott and Lori, then yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll probably just use the finishing order there as my rankings.
Okay. We'll see how this. We'll see how this shakes out. I'm very curious to see what happens.
I don't want to see that happen because I don't want to have to like. That kind of paints me into a corner a bit, but I think I would just use finishing order as the rankings there. Because Jack
We'll
and
see what
Carson
happens.
still will have been ahead of them, but Jonathan and Anna would have finished behind them twice in a row. So, yeah, that's what I would do in that scenario. I'm okay with it happening now. I've figured out what I'm going to do.
I just feel like you don't want to put Jonathan and Anna below Scott and Lori, though. So we'll
But,
see if
but
you're.
I would. I wouldn't
We'll,
be
we'll,
happy about it because I want
we'll
them to
see if
win.
your intrusive thoughts break through.
I want them to win because on the premiere, like on our premiere recap, I said I predicted that they would win. I believe, and I
I
want
don't
to
think
be
we did
right.
winner predictions.
What?
I don't think we did winner
We
predictions.
didn't like do official ones, but I put them first in my rankings, and I said I thought they would win. We didn't like do an official winner prediction segment, but I think I said that somewhere.
I didn't remember that, but I
I
do
put
know
them
that you put
first
them.
in my rankings at
I know
least,
you put them first in your power rankings.
which I want to be right, so I kind of want to see them win. But if next week is Jack and Carson, then Scott and Lori, then Jonathan and Anna, that would be my power rankings for that week. Is the finishing order? It would be hard to as much as I want to be right, it would be hard to put a team ahead of a team that has beaten them 2 legs in a row.
Fair enough. So did you say you have Carson and Jack at 2?
I do,
That's also who I have at 2. We basically have the same freaking list.
except for a couple things swapped here and there. But yeah,
You have Alyssa and Josiah uh, in the middle of that
4, 5,
girl
6.
of that 4, 5, 6 finish, and I have them at the in front of all of those, and that's our only difference really. And
How
then we have
cool?
Nick and Mike and Bernie and Kerrigan switched.
How cool was that? That all 3 of them finished at the same time, though.
Yeah, that was pretty
That
cool.
was fun. I've seen that happen with 2 teams. I haven't seen that happen with 3 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then
And both of us have
yeah,
John and Anna winning our power rankings again, even though they did not win this leg.
yeah.
They are still a super strong team, and it's hard to deny that at
Yeah.
this point.
And there's been a couple scenes with him that I haven't liked that haven't been great. Overall, I like them as a pair, though. They have a fun chemistry. I like watching them work through things and figure out how to do things. So,
To be fair, there's not any terrible teams on the cast, and so I gotta put my flag down somewhere.
is he worse than Vinny for you yet?
Not yet, but I'm not gonna count him out.
See, you had to think about it this time. You mentioned this in week one, and I asked if he was Vinny, and you immediately said no. So he's getting closer for sure because you had to think about it this time.
Yeah, because that quote this week just moved him even closer.
Yeah, but he's not there yet, so he can still recover.
Or he could fall even further into a hole.
And no one will ever be Kelly for you. So,
Oh man. Note to any future Amazing Race contestants: if you want to be my least favorite player ever, insult the military or first responders in a very real way, and you will go to the bottom of my list like that.
yeah. Even outside of that quote, they just were awful to watch the last three episodes.
I
They
didn't.
got worse after that.
It didn't. That didn't bother me as much as it did to you, but the
No.
quote really.
I was just exhausted by the end of it because it was the same storyline with them the last three episodes of, oh, we're realizing we're not good as a couple. We're bickering the whole episode. Our relationship is over.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the same storyline for three episodes, and I was bored and tired by the end of it.
Valid.
And I liked them for the major. They were one of my favorite teams the majority of that season too. The ending was just so bad it ruined that for me.
Week one, they were probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Did not
But
finish.
wrapping up this episode, this was a fun week.
It was, and stay tuned to our social media as we've started doing. I don't know, Bruce, if you really paid that much attention to our posts this week,
I did.
but we have some new interesting segments in our social media section with a weekly recap where we list the winners and losers of the week. We also always highlight our power rankings, but now we also highlight our danger rankings.
Yes.
And so stay tuned to see how all of that looks to be shaking out. Um, Follow us on Instagram and Facebook and the TikTok for all things Pitstop Pals as well as Reality Realm as a whole. Continue to check out Tribal Council Chat, where I will be guesting this week.
Yeah.
Roundtable Talk, we're on a hiatus, but stay tuned this summer. We'll be coming up with some off-season content. Check out periodically the New Generation Challenge podcast has new stuff coming towards you. And check out our Redbubble merch store.
Yes, for sure.
So, with all of that being said,
No.
the world is waiting for you. Good luck.
Travel safe.
Go.